Welcome back. It's a quick video, sort of unprompted and unscripted, of how to fireproof an old air-cooled 911. These are my views. Whether it works or not, I suppose, is up to you. But what I've done in my car, I'll put the light on, just give me a minute. I'm very professional here. You'll see that right there, it says fire extinguisher with a red button. That's sort of idiot proof. It's not a fire extinguisher, but it cuts the car. So there's that, and obviously around this side there's an ignition switch, which is there. So that's all pretty standard on a 911. Let me pull the front. What I've done to this car is, right, so cold weather, I won't stay up. They're brand new. There we go. So they run a big cable from here, the battery, huge big cable to the rear where the engine is. It bolts on to the starter motor. From the starter motor, it then goes up to the alternator. So there's a big huge cable there. That cable has to be fused. So what I've done, you can have a look at my beautiful restoration here. The main cable that goes up to the back of the car, I've rerouted, not routed, to here. So this is the main cable. From here, I've got this switch that is pulled from inside. And then from there to the positive side of the battery. And if this isn't pulled, here I've gone to the wreckers. This is off a Mazda, and there's different amperatures. So that's mounted to the positive terminal. This is fused. It's fused less than what the starter motor will draw. But if this isn't pulled, and this main cable here that goes up the back through the guts of the car underneath, you've got to understand it's 50 years old. 68, actually it's 54 years old, going on 55. If it touches, it will just, it's an arc welder, it'll burn to the ground. So without this deploying, this will trip. This cost me, I don't know, 10 cents. So that's the positive side done. If I'm driving along and I get a burning smell, this can just be pulled. Any idiot can see it's a fire extinguisher. So they'll pull this, that'll disconnect the positive side, it'll stop it. It's also set up, it's a proper switch. As you can see, there's a few wires under here. I won't go into that, but what that does, it stops the alternator from burning out with the diodes because you're running it without a battery. Trust me, if it was burning to the ground, you wouldn't be worried about spending 50 bucks on the alternator. The other thing I've also done is on the negative side, which is here, this is aircraft cabling. I've run it, the negative side through here. The closest point I could get is a horn grill, which is in here, and then back. My theory for this is, if you have an accident and if you've just got a disconnect on the earth, this is so close to the body. If this crumples up and touches the body and you've got a disconnect on the earth, it makes no difference because this is touching the earth. That's why I run both systems. So I keep my, bit like an aircraft, in sight. If I see that on the roof, I know the car's safe. So the battery is not connected at all to this car until that goes in. You'll hear the clock. Yep, now the clock's working. The car's live. So when it's parked in my house, when I go for a coffee, whatever I do, I pull that out. It's not just the car. This car gets a short, burns the house to the ground, you know, that's game over. So that's how I've done the front. It's foolproof, it's idiot proof. The cable going to the back is completely separate once that's disconnected. So I've done that. You've also got your ignition, which you can turn off. Squeeze around these motorcycles. And I need my light because people have been complaining that they can't see. All right, let's go around. You've got to excuse the door. The door's not opening from the outside, or it's been a bit of a bugger. I found the problem. It's a simple fix. If you own one of these cars, you want to be handy because you wouldn't want to be paying people to do this shit. So what else I've done in this car, that big cable goes to the starter motor, which is, I don't know if you can see it, you can't see it, it's underneath the car, and from there Porsche run a cable round the back and it comes over to this side here. I've removed that and I've brought a cable up from the rear, from the starter motor, which is this one here. Right there, comes all the way up. Once again, I've got some nice lightweight aircraft starter cable, and this is the power supply for my engine bay right here. So that supplies the whole engine bay rather than going through this side. From here, I've got two fuses, and then that then supplies all my relays over there, which you can see. I've then got a third, I don't know, fourth or fifth or 10th system here. So that isolates my rear from the front battery. I've also got another isolation here, I don't know if you can see it, which is the fuel pump. I think I've explained that. So basically what I've done is put a fusible link on the battery. I've got the idiot proof, you can see it inside. If it starts smelling while you're driving it, that disconnects the positive side, and then I've got the negative side, which is this jobby there, which comes around to the air horn when I park it. So this car's completely dead at the moment. The battery's completely disconnected, and I've got a fail-safe. I can do the positive and the negative. I think that's a good way of making these things. You'll catch them before they'll do any real damage. Plus you've got the usual fuse box up the front, obviously. But I think it's a very, very good system. Some people run extinguishers in the back and stuff like that. These don't burn like the CIS ones. I think they're called the CIS, constant injection. They backfire, they get a lean mixture, and you've got to push the car out of your house. Otherwise you're going to lose the whole lot. You know, all this rubber, as far as the fuel lines go, you'd replace them every 5 years and keep an eye on them when you service it. So there's not an issue there. And if you smell petrol, actually if you don't smell petrol, these Webers just vent off a litre of fuel every time you turn it off. It's so you do smell petrol, but you'll smell petrol that's dripping. Yeah. So the main thing is isolate the car with that key switch, and your house won't burn down. And when you're driving it, you've got this right there, and you can pull it and that will disconnect it, won't fuck up your alternator, and happy days. And that's how I fireproof my old air-cooled 911, and it goes without saying, insurance is the other way to do it too. I'm in Australia. Insurance on one of these cars is dirt cheap. Costs you nothing. So that's another good thing to have. Make sure it's insured. And I don't think you'll have any combi van, Beetle type burning to the ground episodes with your early 911. Have a great day.